Angus Young, how you doing?
Good, Becko.
The Offspring.
How's it going, Becko?
Dave Grohl, how you going, mate?
Good, man.
Pete, it's been a long time coming.
Oh, Becko, hasn't it indeed?
We go inside the dressing room, speak to the biggest names in music,
Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones.
and crack open their esky.
This is exactly how I imagine you, by the way, sitting opposite me with a vodka and orange.
You're a discerning chap. This is The Rider.
Hey, this is Becko. Welcome back to The Rider. We are back with a brand new season, and last week it was Felix from the band Cat Empire, a band we know and love. They're back on the road with a brand new album as well. If you missed that, you can catch up right now on Spotify and Apple. First up to San Diego, a tragic plane crash claiming the lives of 6 people, but on board that plane, the co-founder of Sound Talent Group and his team. Now, Dave Shapiro is the man behind one incredible roster of bands, including Sum 41 and Pierce the Veil, but also a bunch of great Aussie bands too, like Parkway Drive, North Lane, The Amity Affliction, Yours Truly, and a lot of tributes already coming through for those on board the plane. Chris O'Brien from Destroy All Lines and Good Things Festival saying that he will always miss Dave and their phone calls and dinners and laughs. Also on board the plane, this is ABC.
We've also learned today, also killed on the plane, musician Daniel Williams. He's a former drummer for the popular metalcore band The Devils Wear Prada. Today, his fiancée posted on social media that the couple actually started dating on May 22nd, 2011, and died 14 years later to the day. A tragic story all around.
So you might not know Devil Wears Prada, but this is the song Broken, which was probably their biggest hit. So 6 people on board that plane, and that was a tragic accident in San Diego this week. On some more positive news, Foo Fighters, we talked about them last week. They've announced a whole bunch of show dates. So the Fooies are going to be playing the Singapore Grand Prix. That's 4th of October, but they've also announced a bunch of other dates. They're playing October, Jakarta. They're going to Tokyo and Osaka. Does that mean that Australia could be next after that? Because typically Aussie dates follow Japan dates. I'm just going to put it out there that maybe, the Fooies might be working on something. This will be the first tour with a brand new drummer, and of course the first tour after the Love Child scandal with Dave Grohl. So we'll keep you posted on that one.
This is The Rider.
This week on The Rider, a band we loved out of Perth. Little Birdy came into the picture in the early 2000s when the Perth music scene was at its absolute best. And they're celebrating 21 years of big, big love. Bloody great album. They're going to go on tour right across the country, and we're very happy to have music royalty, Katy Steele, who's coming in to have a chat. There she is. Katy, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I'm really good.
So about a year ago, you had your solo album coming out. There was a lot of sort of chat about that. It was all exciting. And little did we know that there was a big reunion on the cards with the 21st anniversary of your debut album.
Yes. Well, to be honest, it has been kind of a recent thing. I think I just kind of hit the guys up and I was like, man, I think it was when I reached out to them, it was like 20 years like that year. And obviously it takes a while to kind of get these things organised.
Just a bit.
So we went with 21, which I think has a bit of a ring to it anyway.
I think it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was that phone call like? Because I think all band members didn't really think it was possible, and it came as a bit of a surprise. Was it just a phone call, or was there a bit more going on?
I think it was just kind of an email, and then me and Simon, the guitarist, kind of like he was actually in Perth, and we kind of caught up, and yeah, so it's kind of, it's been a long time, but to be honest, it's kind of been kind of simple in a lot of ways, because it's, a band is a lot, when you're at that kind of level, it is kind of a business, so we're kind of just keeping it all very, like friendly but professional, but the only way you can do it really, because I think we've all got our own lives now, which is different than what it was back in the day. We've all got families and stuff, so you kind of have to all have your boundaries, I guess. I guess that's a difference from when you're like I was always around the age of 19 to like early 20s, and the guys were always in their 30s, so there's always been a bit of a difference in age. But now it's just very yeah, it's a different kind of thing now.
Let's go back to like 2002 or whatever it was, because I was living in Perth at the time as well, and I think Perth music was riding high at the time. I mean, it still is, but it was in this true sweet spot back then. You had obviously Eskimo Joe, and you had the Jebs, and you had End of Fashion, Sleepy Jackson as well. So like you know, it was all happening, and then you guys came onto the scene.
Yeah, and we kind of just like came on and never left, I guess. But well, we did, but yeah, it was very quick for us, I guess. For me, it was like I just used to go out and see my brother's band, you know, Sleepy Jackson, and you know, I used to sneak into like Amplifier, like because I was with him. He's like, she's with me, you know. I was like 15, like I'm not even exaggerating. I was so underage, and I used to go and just kind of hang out and watch all the bands, and we used to go to Hyde Park, like the front room was like a total vibe back then. Did you ever go there?
The Hyde Park Hotel. Yeah, I saw a couple of bands there, and the only one I can remember specifically was the Whitlams. I saw the Whitlams in there, but
no way.
Yeah. I think it was one of their storytellers tours where Tim was telling the stories of every song as they played. It was really cool. It was really good.
That must have been the big room, though, because I'm talking about the front bar.
Oh, yeah, right. Gotcha.
And I did one of my very first gigs in the front bar with my band before Little Birdy called The Plastic Scene. I had like a DX7 keyboard, and it was just me and a guitarist and like a backing track. And then there used to be like proper like punk bands and stuff like playing, you know, in the front bar. So that was like, it was pretty divey, but it was so cool though. It was like a real vibe in the front bar. But yeah, I went to the back room too. I know what you're talking about out there, but that was for the more established artists.
But you got to start somewhere, and it certainly was a real hot spot. We know Fremantle obviously had its thing as well, but there was kind of a bit of a thing where you were either Freo or you were Perth. It was a weird thing.
There was that. And I never knew what everyone from Freo was going on about. It's like they kind of carried on like they were in some like cool cult or something. It's like, no, we're from the Shire, man. Yeah. And I think that still kind of exists a little bit, to be honest.
So you did the move. So it was sort of late in the Little Birdy story where you moved to Melbourne, which is such a Perth thing, by the way, is to move to Melbourne.
I know, it's so Perth.
So tell me about that. So what was the thought process with that? You know, was it one of those things where, you know, you had a new life over there, or was it a way to grow the band a bit and play some new venues, or what were you thinking?
I think it was, I can't even remember if we all moved, because Simon, our guitarist, is originally from Melbourne. So I think he wanted to, you know, move back and be close to his family or whatever. And then I think everyone else, I can't remember what the reason. I mean, I just was, you know, I always wanted to move over there anyway. And I think it just kind of got to the point, you know, it was right before we recorded the third album. I mean, I think, you know, it's just a natural progression, isn't it, really, when you're, especially being like in the creative kind of world. It's, you know, there's just so many more bands and, you know, places to go out, but you know, Perth is just so great for bringing up a family, and it is really different here now. I'd say it's really idyllic. I mean, the weather's just phenomenal. Like when you've got kids, I mean, I just got home from the park and it's like 5:15 here, and it's like, you know, it's beautiful. The sun's still out, and yeah, it's just really nice here, you know. It's a really nice place for young children. It
is, and you're making me miss the place now, hearing how good the weather is over there. The only thing really was the isolation, but I can imagine the isolation in the music scene there was probably a good thing, because all the bands knew each other. They were very supportive of each other. It was a very tight network, and that can only be a good thing, I would have thought.
Yeah, totally. I mean, like, it must have been, really, because, and I mean, if you look at the bands still coming out, I mean, Spacey Jane are doing amazing, huge things, and, you know, they're from Perth as well. You know, there's a whole bunch of new bands coming through, so it's I don't know, I think maybe it's like what you're saying, you kind of have to work a bit harder to kind of get to get over to the East Coast, and it's expensive. It's a good $3,000 every time you make the trip over, like for the full band. So it's it kind of that adds up. So you've kind of got to work up to that level, I guess. I don't know what it is about over here.
It is bloody great though, and a lot of great pubs. It's a real pub city. But tell me about the beginning. Being discovered, doing the album. Where did you do the album? Give me that story.
Yeah, so I'll take you back right to the start. So obviously I started in the duo, which was called The Plastic Scene, which was me and another guy called Mikey. And that kind of, ran its course. I kind of felt like it wasn't really, going where I wanted it to go. So I was just kind of doing my own thing and started writing my own songs, which, these are like Relapse and Beautiful. These are the kind of songs that I'm writing, like the first ever kind of pieces of music that I didn't even know what a song was. And Simon reached out to me. I think he was friends with my brother Luke, and Simon reached out and was like, man, like, do you want someone to help you, like, work on your tunes? Do you want to start a band? And I was kind of like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. So we did a gig at the Grosvenor Front Room where I was so new to guitar that I had to sit down on a chair. And I'm not even joking. And Simon was on the drums. And for some reason in the audience that night, I don't know if we already had a bit of a buzz going, but there was all of Jebediah were there. I think all of Eskimo Joe were there. All of Sleepy Jackson were there. They were just hanging out, just like watching. Like this was like our first gig. And then Barney, who became our bass player, was in the audience, and he was like, "Hey," he's like, "Do you guys need a bass player?" And Simon's like, "No," and I'm like, "Yes, you're good at guitar. We're getting a drummer. This is going to be a band, man." And within like a couple of weeks, someone recommended Maddie on the drums, and then before we knew it, we were just like rehearsing, and it was literally like it's that whole thing, with Perth and just. People, it's so different, I think, now, like with phones and stuff. And, back then it was just that thing of like, let's jump in a room. And, it was a different time, I think, like for a good reason, So we recorded a couple of demos, and I think we actually sent them to like some managers, and then what happened was commercial radio and Triple J started playing our demos, which was just like mental. We're like, man, these aren't even finished. Somehow they got, and then we ended up getting a manager, and it just kind of went from there. It all went very, very quickly. But that's kind of what happened.
How good is that, though? But it kind of shows, as we said before, the network that happened back then with just hanging out. You're able to pull together something out of nothing. I kind of really feel for the new generation. I just think because it's just, I feel like it is so hard now to kind of break through. Even with my solo stuff, it's it's just a completely different. And I never would expect the same amount of attention with something I'm doing solo, but it has been nice to see the difference in attention that even just the band, like the band name, it just gets a whole different scope. And it's just because of that time, I think, that we were in. And we're just really lucky, to be honest, that we were in that time, I think. And you got an ARIA chart on debut. By the time the album came out, everyone was talking about it. I mean, it must have been up late watching Rage and seeing your video clip for the first time or something. And did you do that?
Yeah, being embarrassed by how bad the first one was. Recording. We recorded the record in Sydney with Paul McKercher at Big Jesus Burger, and that was a really cool thing. Just being able to be in like a proper studio and just dedicate the time to the songs, and get all the instruments recorded like properly. And it was really cool. Back then as well, there's not as many studios now kicking around as well, which is a shame.
No, and look, people are sort of also able to do so much just at home as well, and sadly, it means that all those great big studios are being closing down because they haven't got enough business. But there's something about the big desks, and the sound.
There's something about that, but there's also something about the the amazing stuff you can do by yourself. And yeah, I'm trying not to be too like negative about, you know, the way things are going, and because I feel really positively about it, because in some ways it's like anybody can go and make a record now, and there's no gatekeepers now, which is what's great. You know, back in the day you had to get signed by some middle-aged bald man, you know, because he decided that you were going to be the next big thing. It's kind of like, man, you can just do what you want now, you know. You really can. You can do a record. You could record something in your bedroom and release it the next day, and you know, and you never know where it's going to go. It is harder though to cut through because there's like 100,000 songs being released every single day. So
That's the problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is kind of cool where you can just do something spontaneously and put it up. You know, you got obviously got legals and stuff to do, but you really can. You can just upload it and just hope for the best and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me about the childhood you had at home. It was such a musical family, and that breeds this creativity. You see all the great siblings of rock and roll and music who go on to do something similar. But your dad was a muso. He was in a band with your brother. So it's your dad, Rick, and Jesse, right? Then you had obviously Luke, who was in the Sleepy Jackson and now Empire of the Sun, and he's just killing it. And your twin brother as well.
Yeah.
Were you just at home on a lazy Saturday afternoon jamming, and that's how things happened, or what?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was like that, but it was always about music. Like, so there was always a record on. We used to have like a vinyl player, and I just remember like Neil Young Harvest was just like always on, or like a Robbie Robertson or Chris Christopherson. Like, we really grew up on that real, you know, country storyteller, blues, and yeah. But in terms of like us all jamming, we're all on our own path. I think all our lives have been like ultra connected because we're like a close family. We're close-ish, close enough. But you know, in terms of me getting into music, like I just had to find my own path to that. Like no one showed me how to play guitar. It was like I kind of did that on my own, like, you know, with the door closed, to be honest. But, you know, I was able to sit and watch and observe, and like I had some really great teachers. So yeah, I'm thankful for that. You know, it was very colourful, my upbringing.
Were you proud when Luke joined the Sleepy Jackson, and they were one of the pioneers, I guess, around that time when, you know, you and I lived in Perth?
Of course. I mean, I watch videos now, like he's on tour in America at the moment, and he's playing to like thousands of people, and you know, I still tear up like when I see, you know, the videos and just like you know, what he's done. I just think it's, you know, it's just one in a million, like what he's achieving. And so you know, we're all just so proud of him. And you know, I'm proud of everyone, you know, because we've all kind of done our own thing, which I think is really cool. Like, you know, I've kind of I'm in my own lane, and I'm really proud of what I'm doing and what I've done, and I'm proud of what I haven't done yet, actually. Like, I'm really excited about my new stuff, and you know, I'm excited. You know, I'm proud of being a great parent, and I'm proud of, you know, being a good person, you know, and just, yeah, so music just kind of comes into that, you know, and so yeah, just really proud of everyone, really.
And a lot of the music for Little Birdy was meant to be a solo project of yours. So the Confetti album, wasn't it? It was meant to be a solo album, and then brought into the band.
Yeah, I kind of, I wrote a lot of those just like, completely in a room by myself. And then, but you know, what became of that was it became really grand, and it became a really beautiful record, and it wouldn't have been the same without them. So I'm really glad that we did that, because, you know, if you look at, you know, what I've done since then, I don't think I've really, you know, I haven't done a solo record that, I mean, my last one, I'm proud of it, but I'm still yet to, you know, really kind of get it's really hard. I find that really hard, just finishing, like sticking to my vision and So I think that, I did really lean on them a lot, and they helped me to, stick true to the vision, I guess. And yeah, that's something I'm really trying to work on, for the next stuff, to just try and just really know what you want to achieve. I think as I'm just one of those people that I get really I get kind of pulled in many directions, I guess, and that's something I'm working on, is trying to just really stick to what the original kind of scope was,
That's fair. And is there something you go back to when you are getting in a zone to write music? Is there an artist you go back to every time, or is there an artist you avoid because you get easily inspired?
There's just a few classics that you just listen to, and you could just listen to it forever. And there's a few records. Like Neil Young, Harvest is one of those. Joni Mitchell, Blue, Carole King, Tapestry. These are like classic records that you just kind of listen to it, and you just kind of go, "This is just amazing music." Like, this is, there's a million songs and records I could name, but there are just a few off the top of my head that, they're just like perfect records, and I just want to make one of those one day. I don't know when. I'm hoping it's going to be in the next year, but I just really want to make the ultimate perfect record. That is my goal in life.
And you will, and look, it might happen when you're on tour, because you're in the zone.
It might happen when I'm 50. Who knows?
It is nice though about not having to rush though, and do things in your own time and space. Because it's different when you got a record company deal hanging over your head, and often you just deadlines. You got to jump in the studio and you have to get it done.
Yeah, and they kind of they don't mean, well, no, they do. They add their, they add their thoughts about like what's going to be a single and radio and all this stuff, and it does affect you, creatively. You're kind of going, oh, I've got to chop it down or whatever. And, one of our most successful songs is the most uncommercial song ever, which is Brother. That got released as a bonus track when they were doing that whole thing where you sign up to the mailing list as a bonus track. And then, Triple J absolutely flogged that. We didn't even make a proper video because the record company didn't think it was that good of a song. It's like, it's just funny, It's like sometimes they just have no idea what they're doing.
Oh, and having been, in radio boardrooms, listening to music with the record companies as well, often the radio guys didn't have any idea either, or they just were so focused on a good hook or a good chorus, not thinking that there's more to a song than that. It's everyone's part of the same problem.
Yeah, exactly.
How are these songs going to stack up now, all those years later, 21 years later? To me, it's... Some things age badly, but all these could be released right now, and it would be just as it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really thought about that, to be honest. But I guess that's in the eye of the beholder, isn't it?
It is. It is.
But the shows are selling really well. Like Melbourne just sold out, and Perth's 70%, and Brisbane's 70% as well. And they're big rooms. Like we're playing the Astor Theatre in Perth. So I'd say that there is, a lot of nostalgia attached to this record, and, I think it must stand up, now. It still stands up as being, there's strong songs, and, the record is it's got a mood, and I think that it captured something in a lot of young people at that time, like this probably the same age as I was, maybe a bit younger as well, but so is
it funny when you become part of the nostalgia sort of stage where like guys like me, mid-40s, and what a great way to earn a living. It's fantastic.
Well, exactly. I'm trying not to think about it too much because really just trying to stay cool, stay like positive, and
especially when it wasn't expected, and all those years have passed, and I'm sure everyone's kind of moved on, done their own thing. And
I think if you could tell it was like a total cash grab, or if it was really obviously like yeah, like you said, like if it was planned, like and I guess I think if we hadn't gone away and done our own thing, I think it would be a little bit more naff as well. But, we haven't existed for like 14 years. Like this is our first show in 14 years. So
Yeah.
it's it's kind of a special event, I guess.
Hopefully there'll be a nice little warm-up show somewhere secret in Perth maybe
Ooh.
before you get going. You've
Well,
always got to do that. Family and
That's a
friends
good
nights.
idea. That is a good idea. We're going to be in Brisbane though, rehearsing for the first week before, so might have to be in Brisbane.
Might have to be in Brisbane. Oh, God.
Yes. How many can you get together in Brisbane?
Yes, but also the album is released on vinyl for the first time as part of the celebration. So that's kind of cool to hear it with that sound, the warm sound of vinyl for the first time.
Yes. Yeah, I was really pushing for that because, as a band, we were so devastated that we never had anything released on vinyl, and it's kind of like no one wanted to commit to that expense, and and then we're committing to it, by ourselves as a band independently. So, it's kind of, it takes guts, but it's selling really well, and yeah, it's going to pay off. So that's really cool.
But now the great thing is, people are buying records for the first time of their favourite albums, and that's why digital sales, they're always saying, go and buy the record. It makes a hell of a difference.
It does. It goes straight to us, especially in our case. It goes directly to us once we pay for the, the printing of it. It goes, straight to us. So that's really great. Yeah.
So the tour is in July. What are you packing for this tour? Like, it's a bit different when you got. Is the family coming with you, or do you leave them behind in Perth?
Oh God, no, they're not coming.
Yeah.
No, it's mainly weekends, so it's a bit of a FIFO run, and there's some huge gaps in between. But I mean, I'm just packed. Yeah, it gives me some good amount of time to get some interesting outfits, hopefully organised in between, because I'm really bad at like getting that shit organised straight off the bat. So I'm probably gonna, it's I don't know. I'm just gonna be packing just whatever I normally pack, which is.
Well, certainly if you're coming home for the during the week, you're fine. You got no dramas there.
Yeah.
What about the rider? So, what was your rider like back then, and how's it going to differ now?
You just want all the salty.
Bloody oath, I do.
I was just thinking yesterday that I might try and not drink on this tour.
Oh, look,
I think
that's all right. It's good.
It could be good for me to not, but let's see. Let's put money on it.
It is actually, honestly, it is even though you want to have something in your hand sometimes, it's easier than ever now to not be drinking, because you can have like 0 beers or 0 gin or whatever, and it tastes pretty much like it normally does.
It does, yeah. I think what we have on there is what I've had forever, which is Jameson's, which I just love, a little Jameson's on the rocks. That's my little go-to. But I don't know. I think we've just got like beer and just the same old. Nothing interesting, man.
No,
nothing cool for your podcast, I'm afraid.
You've had the good old years where you just racked it up, and then you find out later you got to pay for it anyway, and it's like, oh. God.
Yeah, I know. So true.
Well, look, get all set for the tour. All the details are online. The 21st anniversary edition of the album as well. Big love on vinyl. All those dates through July right across the country. And Katy, it is so good to chat with you, and good luck for the tour. And I'll see you on the road.
Yeah, thanks for your time, man. I really appreciate it.
How cool was she? Katy Steele on the rider. And of course, catch Little Birdy on their Big Love 21st birthday bash. That tour kicks off June 20 in Newcastle and goes right around the country until early August. All the details on Little Birdie's socials. Next week on The Rider, we catch up with rapper 360. He's got a new album coming out. He's going to go on tour as well in July. And he's gone through some massive life changes. And it's going to be a real deep and meaningful chat with 360. We'll catch him next week. This is The Rider with Becko.